Most people don't know what's holding them back, but you do because you listen to me, Sam, your self-care guru and journal junkie. Welcome to Journal Entries, your safe place where you can tune in weekly to get tips, tricks, and journal prompts to uncover your feelings, gain clarity, and make your move. Hello, hello. Welcome to this week's journal entry. I just got back from a trip to Maine, which is one of my happy places. Just the ocean, the adorable, cute town. We were in Kennebunkport, which is where I used to live, and it's just so many happy memories there. And one of the places that I went when I was there is this gem. What was it called? It was called Zen and Company, where they had gems and crystals and stones and sage and all the things. And I'm holding right now one of the, I don't know what it would be of those things, if it's a gem or a stone or a crystal, but it's called pink calcite. It's for trauma healing, pain relief, and releasing the past. It's the stone of peace, salvation, and hope. I went into the store. Okay, Leo, you're going to have to get down. My cat is on my lap and not budging. Okay, he's 17 pounds, 17.4 pounds. So it's a lot to carry him. Anyways, I had a list of gems that I wanted to get, and this was not one of them, but one of my friends that I was with saw this stone, pointed it out to me, and there was literally one left. And I was like, I have to get this. And I'm holding it right now because it relates to the topic for today. Today, I'm digging into my past, and I feel like I'm slowly but surely opening up about my divorce and like the emotional side of things. I've tried really hard not to, how do I say this? I've tried really hard to keep it about myself and not to project my thoughts and feelings onto my ex. And that might happen today. But I just had something happen. What was it, last week or maybe 2 weeks ago at this point, where it was a moment of like, what? Like it was just this moment of clarity of why am I allowing this to happen? So a little backstory, very tiny backstory, really. When my ex and I split up, I felt like we actually split up on decent terms. Like it was like a friendly goodbye. It was really interesting. And since then, it has been like complete opposite, which one would expect as you're splitting things up, especially when a child is involved and it's not just like a clean break. And when I feel like I am gaining a voice and speaking up and speaking my truth, and it's not received well on the other end. And I feel like I have been treated just like with complete disrespect and just really mean. And like the things that are said to me are just very rude. And sometimes they make me cry. Sometimes they make me angry. A lot of times they make me roll my eyes. A lot of times I used to feel very defensive, and I would just come back like defending myself and Griffin and my role in all of this. And here's the part, the real kicker. From the beginning of all of this, I have said to a few people, I've said this to my therapist, I've said this to my mom and my dad most recently, I've said that I would rather have my ex treat me like that than kind and sweet. And also, you likely know if you've been listening to my podcast or following me, that my ex very quickly after we split up, moved to Florida. And I didn't fight that at all. And in fact, I thought that it would be better for me emotionally if he wasn't here, if he did move away. And I never really questioned it. I just knew that for my peace, it felt better that he was not near me. And it felt better for some reason to be treated with this disrespect and meanness than with respect and nice and, just a nice human being. And it honestly, truly didn't hit me. It's been like a year and a half almost that we have been split. It didn't hit me until the other night when I was talking to my mom and I repeated that same thing of how I'd rather be treated like this. And then I was like, wait, what the fuck? Like, that's so messed up. Like, why would I tolerate that? And it blew my mind. Like the words coming out of my mouth, I was just like, what? Something isn't right here. And so I journaled on it because I was like, this clearly is not right. I don't know what it is. Let's dig deeper tomorrow morning on this. And so the next morning I journaled on it. And that's what I wanted to share with you and just kind of bring you down the rabbit hole. There's no real, I guess there is a little revelation at the end of this, but I just kind of wanted to bring you through this thought pattern in case anyone listening feels the same as I do. Like maybe there is someone in your life that isn't treating you nice and you are justifying it. That's really what I found myself doing. And I really was questioning why. Why did it feel easier for me and better to be treated like that? And so I came up with 3 things. I wrote down, I had the realization last night that by me saying I'd rather be treated like this, AKA insulted, disrespected, like a piece of shit, than having him be sweet and kind and potentially trying to get me back, I'm essentially saying it because A, if he was sweet and kind and potentially wanting me back, I'd feel really bad declining, telling him that he's not what I want anymore, not what I need anymore, and I don't want to hurt his feelings. 2, or really it's like 1A. Oh wait, I said A first. So B, AKA basically, I'd rather be disrespected so that I don't have to be in a position where I need to speak my truth of not wanting to be in that relationship anymore. I'd rather be treated like a piece of shit so that I don't have to hurt his feelings. What? That was like a really big moment for me. Like I'm still kind of processing all of that. But then the third thing, and I do think that this was a big part of it, is that I didn't trust myself, and maybe still don't, but definitely didn't trust myself that I could speak up. And then I was like, well, why not? Because I like to dig deeper and just kind of prompt myself through my journal entries. So I asked myself why. And it was the fear that my ex would talk me back into the good times and I would forget how he made me feel and why I ultimately left, and that I would go back to him. Basically, I felt like it's easier to be spoken to poorly so that I don't go back to him. Because if I did go back to him, I would then feel stuck. And it took so much for me to leave something good. Like I said, we left on okay terms. Like it took a lot for me to leave something good for the hope of something so much better, of something that I believe that I deserve. And I don't ever want to be in a position where I stay because the person is nice and I don't want to hurt their feelings. And that's where I feel like I would be if I took him back. And I feel, I just didn't trust that if he stayed nearby, if he didn't move to Florida, or if he was sweet, that I would be tempted to take him back, even though every fiber of me knows that's not what I want anymore. And so that's what I kind of reminded myself of. I even wrote, can my ex be nice and I won't be tempted to take him back? And then in like big caps lock words, I wrote, I have to remember that I have the strength to speak my truth now. In fact, I already did. Heart. I'm not sure if I've mentioned this yet on any of my episodes, but last April, my ex was trying to be nice. He was sending me gifts for my birthday and Mother's Day. And he did actually ask if I ever thought about getting back together, mostly from the perspective for Griffin, not necessarily for us, a little bit for us. But he asked if I would ever like get back with him to my face, like he was visiting. And he said this to my face. And to his face, I'm smiling right now, if you can't tell, because I'm still like in shock that this happened. To his face, I said no. Like I did speak my truth. I did do that. And I wasn't tempted because I knew my whole body and mind and heart, like everything was aligned, that he is not what I want and need anymore. And so just journaling through all of that and remembering that memory, I just finally, a year and a half after being treated like this, realized that I can be treated with respect and kindness, and I can be kind in return while still upholding my truth and my boundaries and speaking my truth when necessary. That's huge for me. I feel like I need to reread this journal entry or just that line like every single day. Because when I think I hurting people's feelings in any capacity is still something that I'm working through. That's something that is really, really hard for me, is knowing that my words impact other people's emotions. And I know that that is something that other people struggle with too. What is helping me with that, generally speaking, is just knowing that they can have their own emotions and they can manage them. It is not my job to manage them. If that person feels sad based on something I said, especially if I wasn't being mean, right? That person can feel sad and deal with their sadness. That is not my emotion to control or to fix or anything like that. As long as I am staying true to myself and knowing deep down, I think that's it too. I need to remind myself of my truth, all the teeny tiny stories of my version of everything that's gone down, my version of who I am, of the situation, of all of the things. That is what empowers me to speak my truth, because when I am mid conversation with someone, it's very easy for me to see their side. I feel like I'd be a really good politician in that I can see both sides of everything, and I lose sight of my story and my like stance and what I want in conversations, because someone will say something and I'm like, oh yeah, and I'll be so invested in that. And that's how I've lost myself, I feel like. And so reminding myself of my truth, my boundaries, all these things, and now knowing that I can be treated by everybody. You know, everyone else in my life treats me with respect and kindness. And yeah, this is like the only person that treats me like this. And I was accepting it. I was rationalizing it. Now I know that doesn't need to be the case. And I know that it's on me to set that boundary. And it's not going to be easy to, it's not going to be like me setting a boundary and he'll be like, oh, okay. And he'll suddenly be nice. So this is going to be a whole process and, me, I think, emotionally detaching myself. But I thought that it was important to share this journal entry because I was shocked at myself when I realized what was coming out of my mouth and thought that I wanted to share that. And B, I really wanted to share this so that if there is anybody out there that might be rationalizing poor behavior on somebody else's behalf, it at least gets you to think that you might not deserve that. Like I didn't deserve this. So I hope that this episode is at least a little bit empowering for you or somebody in your life, and that you are reminded that you are powerful and that you deserve happiness, and that even when life gets challenging and there are those tough circumstances that you are presented with and have to work through, you still deserve to be treated in those moments with kindness and with respect. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's journal entry. I love connecting with my listeners, so make sure you screenshot this episode and tag me on Instagram at samantha.s.says so I know you're listening. And don't forget to grab your free training and journal prompts at www.samanthapenkoff.com/podcast.